once again, guys, this is Nick Pell once again coming from my room. This week's book is George Orwell's 1984. This is the Signet Classic Edition. I'm pretty sure there are different ones, but this is the one I got. Approximately 300 pages. Yeah, that's the edition I got. So let's move on to characters. My first character is the main character, Winston Smith. This guy is basically fed up with the society that he has grown up in. He basically hates the government that controls his life because A, controls his life and he cannot do anything about it. And eventually, over time, he develops rebellious thoughts, which is where the book basically starts. And then you have the second main character, is Julia. Julia is Winston's love interest in this book. Like Winston, she dislikes the government and wants to basically rebel, and so they form a relationship that's strictly sex and basically just, well, not openly rebel, but they do that because in this futuristic society, love making and love in general is outlawed, and she will basically have sex with only have sex for pleasure instead of just the necessity to populate. And then you have O'Brien. O'Brien is an office worker who works with Winston and Julia. And from the very start of the book, Winston believes that O'Brien is part of the rebellion against the government itself. And this government itself is overruled, I guess you could say, by a figure known as Big Brother. Big Brother, I'm just going to clarify this right now, he is not a person. He is not a physical person. He does not exist. Big Brother is a force that is just planted throughout the novel, and everywhere there are signs that say Big Brother is watching you. It's a famous quote from this book that many people have probably heard of before reading this. And I don't know, Big Brother is just a force that's felt by everybody, and it's felt throughout the whole novel. And then you also have the resistance leader, Goldstein. Now, like Big Brother, Goldstein's existence is not known. Nobody knows if he's a real person, and nobody knows if he's a fake person. But most people do believe that he is the enemy, and that all attempts to capture him and kill him must be taken. Alright, on to the plot. The plot is basically Winston, fed up with his life, as I said before, decides to find a way to rebel against the government in his own way. He comes across this paper that basically tells him what happened in his life, and I believe he starts a journal too. The paper tells him what events led up to the present society that he is now living in, and that even spurs up his thoughts even more and makes him realize that that there is something wrong in the society. And knowing this secret, and in secret mind rebellion, he meets and hooks up with Julia in a love affair. These two are people who stay throughout the whole novel, take up the first two first two parts of the book. The book itself is made up of 3 parts, just to clarify that. Later on, after Winston and Julia will rebel many times, they end up meeting up with O'Brien, who takes them into the rebellion. And then the story from there intensifies a little bit. On to themes. First theme is freedom. This book is very much similar to Brave New World in its structure. Freedom is a big part of it because no one in the society is actually free. They live in fear from day to day. Next theme is right and wrong. Winston believes that he's in the right, but the people of the society who protect the society and run it also believe that they are in the right. So it's kind of an issue of what is truly right and what is truly wrong. And then you have truth. It's basically figuring out and uncovering all the little conspiracies and secret parts of this book from all parts of the plot. And for Winston, figuring out the truth behind the society itself. And then humanity and what it means. These people are basically slaves and honestly robots. They live their life in just a big circled process, and it's just not fun. And it's something that I hope that our society never comes to, even though it's already starting to happen in some aspects. Alright, the book is split into 3 parts, like I said. And honestly, until the very end of the second part, I found the story kind of dull. There wasn't really anything driving me towards it. Maybe it was because I had already read Brave New World a little over a year beforehand, and that story is kind of the exact same thing. Other than that, there's nothing really driving me forward except for wanting to finish it and hoping that it would get better. But like I said, at the end of the second act and in Act 3, the story does pick up a little bit and does become quite interesting from there. But the book kind of hints at stuff that could have happened but never does, which was kind of a letdown because I was kind of hoping for something that would happen, which never did. If I ever do re-reviews of these books where I assume that you guys have read them and I can just talk fully about them without revealing spoilers, then I will get more in depth into my personal thoughts on parts of the book. The characters are interesting enough, but kind of predictable. Honestly, I could kind of tell what was going to happen, and I actually guessed some of the parts correctly as to what would happen with different characters. But overall, I enjoyed the book for what it was, even though some parts were kind of boring. And I would recommend this if you enjoy futuristic societies that are not sci-fi. Like, it's not Star Wars or anything. It's just kind of a relatable society to the present day. And then also, I feel like George Orwell's other books. Another one that I have is Animal Farm. I have not read that yet, but it will be reviewed eventually. And yeah, that's my review. It was a decent book. I'd recommend it, I guess, if you are into what I just said. And so yeah, like, favorite, comment, subscribe. Let me know your opinion on the book. If you agree, disagree, if you think I should do something different, and whatnot. So, until next time, my name is still Nick Pell, and as always, keep on reading.